Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. Well, I'm so excited to welcome you to another edition of the Forex Morning Mastery, your daily dose of financial insights and trading strategies. My own name is Sheriff Daramola, and in fact, I'm going to be your host for the next 25 to 35 minutes as we are going to be taking another fresh new look at the financial market. Well, the last 24 hours hasn't been very impressive at all as we had a couple of losses yesterday as a result of the level of uncertainty that has gripped the market so far. As you all know, majority of market participants are looking forward to the CPI data, which is coming up tomorrow, to guide their investment decision. So as a result of this, we have seen the market going into a consolidation phase in the last 24 hours, which further emphasizes the level of indecision in the financial landscape. So today we will be diving right into the structures one more time to see how we intend to strategically position ourselves for the next move using our basic tools such as trend lines, key levels, and of course chart patterns to unravel the potential trajectory of price action today. So I encourage us all to stay tuned in so you don't miss out on any of the valuable ideas we will be deliberating on today. And you are very much free to engage in the comment section, ask questions to get further clarification on whatever discussions we have today. So I'm excited to have you around with us this morning. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I'm very sure that you will be wondering what this is all about. What is it that we really do here on the Forex Morning Mastery? Well, first of all, it is important for you to note that I usually share a couple of videos during the course of the weekend which details what our plans is going to be like for the upcoming week. So the Forex Morning Mastery was born out of the necessity for us to do follow-up details on this video. So we do this on a daily basis, and as technical traders we usually gather here every day, coming together as a community to engage and of course do follow-up and reviews of any positions we have running in preparation of both the London and the New York session. So the session usually kickstarts about 9:05 a.m. West African time, 8:05 a.m. UTC. So I recommend that you stay tuned in so you don't miss out on any of the valuable ideas we will be deliberating on today. Now, it's important to also be aware that my aim here on the Forex Morning Mastery is to equip you with the knowledge and skills necessary to be able to make well-informed decisions independently. Now, the more time you spend with us in this community, the better you get to understand how our analytical approach works and eventually be able to use the information you gather here to make your own independent trading decisions and strategies. So once again, I welcome you all on board and encourage you to engage in the comment section below. And another thing I didn't mention is that if in any way you have missed out on my weekend videos, as you need to watch them, we only work on the 1 hour time frame during the Forex Morning Mastery. So if you want to have a detailed top-down analysis on all of the assets we will be discussing here today, it's very important you watch my weekend videos, and I have them right in the description box of this current video you are watching. So with that being said here, let's dive right into the business. And as usual, the first thing we normally do in this community is to keep tabs with the fundamental factors that are going to be affecting the market sentiment today. And of course, you know how important this is, as these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movements. By monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and specific technical patterns on the chart, hereby giving us valuable information needed to position ourselves in such a way that we can capitalize on any potential move prior, during, and even after this economic event. So with that being said here, and based on the asset we have been monitoring since the beginning of the week, which of course includes the USOILSPOT, the GBPUSD, and the XAUUSD, we shall be focusing on high impactful economic events from both the United States and the United Kingdom economic docket. Now for today, which is Wednesday, we do not have any high impactful event to look out for, and as a result of this, I would like to include the medium. Let's include that into that and apply the filter accordingly, and let's see if we can have something that we can hold on to as a catalyst that will affect the market sentiment today. And if we look at this closely, on Wednesday today, January 10th, we have two speeches coming from both the United Kingdom and the United States economic docket. So the first one here is a very, very important one. That is from the Bank of England Governor Andrew Bailey's, which is coming up in about 7 hours from now. And for those of you who don't know, Andrew Bailey's is the Bank of England's governor, and everyone in the market will be looking forward to hear what he will be saying today, and whatever he says today is going to be giving us an insight into the monetary policy situation of the United Kingdom, the health situation of the United Kingdom, of course, and I think he will be able to answer some of the pressing questions as regards to what is going on as regards interest rate decisions. Remember last week it was all over the news that the leading business partners in the United Kingdom have been clamoring that the Bank of England reduce the interest rates so that the business sector, the manufacturing sector, and of course the private sector, the business sector in general, will be able to recuperate from the high interest rate that has crippled that sector for a long time. But since the economy is still battling with inflationary pressures, we don't know what the monetary policy officers of the Bank of England will be doing. So today, everyone wants to hear what the Bank of England governor is going to say, and of course, it's going to be affecting the market sentiment in such a way that we will be able to get a sense of direction finally prior or after this particular event today. Then later on today from the United States economic docket, we look forward to speech from John C. Williams, who is the president of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And of course, whatever he says today also will either affirm what his other colleague has said in the last 1 week or probably negate it. Since the later part of last week, we've had how the Fed officials have been supporting the idea of rate cuts as early as the month of March, which of course may send a downward pressure on the United States dollar. So we want to see what they are going to say too as well, to give us an insight onto what the market is going to be looking forward to today. So these are the impactful events we are looking forward to, and it's also important I state here that tomorrow is laced with the consumer price index, which is the key event for this week that will decide the trajectory of interest rate decision in the United States. And of course, majority of the financial assets are tagged or tied to the US dollar. So with that being said here, we will be diving right into the business, and as usual, the first asset, unfortunately I didn't come up with the USOILSPOT early enough today, so let me just open up the chart while it takes seconds for it to load up. So let's see how long it's going to take today for it to load up. Now it's taken quite a longer time, so I'll just reopen the chart all over again, and let's see which one comes up earlier. Like I said, my USOILSPOT chart always takes a long time for it to load up. I think it's from Trading View, so let's see. Okay, finally it has loaded up. So the first asset we are going to be taking today is going to be the USOILSPOT, and in fact the last 24 hours we've done pretty well on this particular asset, as we did took advantage of some buy positions during the early hours of yesterday after price action did broke out of the $71.20 level. And to further emphasize the reversal setup we did identify after realizing that price action was confined within that range at the $71.20 level and the $70.40 area, to emphasize the uncertainty in that market. And we were actually looking out for the breakout of the neckline of that reversal pattern, which coincidentally shares a confluence with the resistant line of that range at the $71.20 level. So it was quite a very profitable trade for us all, as we were able to, if you still have the trade running at this point in time, you'll currently be running with about 130 pips in profit at this point in time. So if you are taking advantage of that move, well done, and kudos to you for being on standby to capitalize on that move. And as it is right now, you know how we do it in this community, especially when price action has moved significantly well in our favor. We do want to be moving our stop losses accordingly to secure the current position, as anything could happen. As you will see right now, price action is at a very crucial juncture, which I did emphasize in my session yesterday, that we could see selling pressure resume around that area. And as a result of this, it's very important to move our stop losses. And for me, I would suggest that anywhere around the $72 area seems most appropriate to move all stop losses to, while we remember to give enough breathing space for price action to move around. Now, with the situation we have on the chart right now, it's very important for us to understand what is going on behind the scenes that is affecting the behavioral pattern of market participants in this environment. Now, yesterday the recent surge, that is the recent hike in price of crude oil, could be attributed to several factors, of course, and one of them is the crude stock data from the United States, which we all talked about yesterday, that everyone will be looking forward to give an insight into what things are looking like. And in fact, the American Petroleum Institute released its weekly crude oil stock report yesterday, indicating a substantial decline of 5.215 million barrels, surpassing the expected fall of 1.2 million barrels. That is a phenomenal, that's a variance of about 4 million barrels in a week. And whenever there is a decline in stockpile, it shows that there is a large demand for this commodity. And when there is a large demand for commodity, what happens? Price always increases. And as a result of this, we saw that bullish traction yesterday, and as soon as price got into that area around the $72.60 level, we begin to notice some selling pressure around that area as market participants digest the effect of this data from yesterday. However, it's not ending there, as we still look forward to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, who are set to release the data for last week later on today, and everyone in the market will definitely be looking forward to what that data will be. So I'm of the opinion that the pause we are seeing in the momentum right now is as a result of the anticipation of the EIA data, which is coming up later today. And if the same decline happens, I believe that the price is going to skyrocket another wave of bullish momentum to the upside. Then in addition to all these factors, there are still concerns about oil supply intensifying following significant attacks by the Iran-backed Houthi militants on vessels in the Red Sea, making key players in this market to reroute their ships, take the ship on a longer route, which of course will dovetail to more cost in operation. So all of these factors I'm seeing right now on the US, behind the scenes in the US, crude oil market for me is projecting a bullish expectations in this market. Now, if we look at things from a technical standpoint from here, following the breakout of that neckline we saw, let me give you a visual representation of what we saw here yesterday. We saw how price dropped into the structure. We saw the inability of sellers to break down the $70.40 level. We saw a higher low, which transitioned into what looks like a double bottom structure, a very strong reversal pattern to inside the breakout of that structure. Now, the question at this point is, will price come back to retest the neckline? As you know, from a technical standpoint, we expect price may come back, retest the structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum. But it's important for us to note that it is not every time, it's not all of the time that price action comes back to retest the neckline, as we could see an uptrend continuation pattern unfold, break out of the resistance line to incite another wave of bullish momentum. Now, as it is right now, you will see that in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18 hours, price action has been consolidating. And in fact, we saw how buyers have found a barrier around the $72.65 level. And for those of us who were with us during the beginning of the week, remember that we had a range identified at the beginning of the week where price action was initially confined within the $73.75 level and the $72.65 area before the breakdown of that support line happened to trigger our first sell position for the week. And whenever price action breaks down a key structure like this, we expect at some point in time price may come back to retest the structure that was broken, where continued selling pressure around that area could incite a downtrend continuation. Now, despite the factors and parameters supporting the idea of buying this asset from the fundamental perspective, you will see that as soon as price got into the support line of that range we identified at the beginning of the week, we begin to notice selling pressure around that area. That is why it is very important for us to move all our stop losses right now accordingly, secure the current position, as we may see sellers come in to take out the buy positions at this point. Now, because of the continued selling pressure around the support line at the $72.65 level, let's quickly talk about the potentials of sellers in this market before we throw up the scope for buying opportunities in this market. So, considering the continued selling pressure around this area, I have a trend line which I identified this morning, and you will see how this trend line had played a major role in determining the direction of price action since the beginning of this week. Now, you look at this trend line here, we saw how price did break down the trend line around this area. We saw selling pressure around this area before price finally broke out of the trend line yesterday, and since then price action had remained above the trend line. And you know how we use our ascending trend lines in this community. Whenever price action remains above the ascending trend line, we want to be looking out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying that asset. And as it is right now, price still remains above the ascending trend line, though in the last couple of hours we have been noticing some selling pressure, but the ascending trend line still remains very, very much intact. And as a result of the fact that price still remains above the trend line, I want to continue to look out for buying opportunities. And as a result of this observation, I will suggest that we buy the breakout of the $73 area. So I have a buy stop order above the $73 area, looking out for buying opportunities there. And if price continues to climb new highs, breakout of the $73.75 level, and our key level for the week at the $74 area will be welcoming more buy position. However, if this ascending trend line gets broken to the downside, we might be seeing a situation that could lead to a downtrend move. But one thing here is that if we consider selling at this juncture, we need to be very careful, as we still have the neckline of that double bottom structure we saw earlier, and in fact price still remains above the ascending trend line we spotted on the higher time frame. And for those of you who missed our first session on the USOILSPOT, you can check the link right in the description box below, where I did give a detailed top-down analysis on this asset and how important this ascending trend line is for us. So if price action can break down this ascending trend line, well, I have a key level here which could help us support the idea of selling this asset somewhere around the $72.20 area. In fact, I would need a retest of structure here for confirmation before jumping in. So let's mark out this level. So we have the $72.20 level duly marked out around this area. If price action breaks down, I want a retest of structure to happen. Please take note of this one. So I'm not placing a sell stop order here. So I want to see price break down, retest that structure before I want to start considering selling this particular asset. So having a sell buy, breakdown, retest, and as soon as price action moves in our favor, we move our stop losses accordingly as soon as price gets into the neckline, which interestingly shares a confluence with that ascending trend line we spotted on the 4 hours time frame. So if we move our stop loss accordingly, we exercise patience and wait to see how the market will react to this level at the $71.20 area. If buy pressure resumes, like double bottom structure, head and shoulder patterns, we will be in for the second leg of the bullish momentum. But if price breaks down the trend line, this could lead to a massive sell-off to the downside. So let's keep all this perspective in mind, but trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due. So remember, a quick reminder, or a quick what do we call it, a quick summary of what I just said here. Our center of focus for today is basically between the $73 area and the $72.20 level, where depending on the direction of the breakout today will give us an insight into where price is likely going. So a breakdown retest, $72.20 level will break down the ascending trend line, give us an opportunity to sell as soon as price gets into the $71.20 level. Ensure all stop losses are in place, secure the position while we wait to see how the market will react to the $71.20 level. However, a breakout of the $73 area will be welcoming more buying opportunities in this market. And like I said, I do have a buy stop order above the $73 area to capitalize on a breakout of that structure. So this is my simple view on the USOILSPOT for today. I do hope I made myself very clear. If you have any questions whatsoever, and probably you need me to clarify a particular area you find difficult to comprehend, please feel free to let me know in the comment section. And if you have found this content so far helpful in making your independent trading decisions for today, kindly support this channel by giving the video a thumbs up. Your likes are valuable and allows the video to be portrayed to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial to them. Thank you very much as you do so. So let's see if there are any questions. I will take the next 10 to 15 seconds off to see if there are any questions before we move on to the next asset on our watch list. I see a couple of comments in the comment section. Ivan Gobunovas, good morning to you. Thank you very much for checking in. Hello, Adeni Babalala, good morning to you. Glad to have you around with us this morning. Trust you are doing very, very well. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page. And in that regard, we shall be moving on to the next asset on our watch list. But if you still have questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section. So the next asset on our watch list for today is the GBPUSD, and in fact we have quite an interesting situation going on in this market right now. At the beginning of the week, we had the privilege of taking advantage of a buy position, and we saw that taking after price broke out of the resistance line of that range when we saw price confined between the 1.273 and the 1.2700 area, though the momentum wasn't really that strong. Though we had two position triggered, price moved in total of about 50 to 60 pips before the bearish momentum came in. And I can remember giving us an update on my platforms that we should move all stop losses accordingly to secure the current position. And of course, we got taken out somewhere around above the 1.273 area as at yesterday. And during our live session yesterday, we did talk about the potentials of sellers and buyers too as well. And one thing we did mention here is that price is back into that range it started the week, that is between the 1.273 and the 1.2700 area. And I did mention, I can remember giving an update on both my TradingView and Telegram platform, that if we are going to be selling this asset, we want to see a significant bearish confirmation before we jump into any position. And as it is right now, I'm really not convinced to sell this particular asset based on what has been going on here since the beginning of the week. Now, if you look at the structure closely, that is the support line around the 1.27 area, very huge psychological level there. You will see how that area, how sellers have found it difficult to break through that area at every point in time price comes into that structure. The same thing also happened here yesterday during the later part of the New York session, and in fact during the Asian session we continue to see deep buying pressure around that area. The last couple of hours though price did break out, but you can see price action is back again above that level. And for me before I can sell here based on what is going on at this juncture, I would rather want to see price take out the lowest point it has been for this week, which is exactly around the 1.27650 area. Remember what we said here yesterday, how this level shares a beautiful confluence with that descending trend line that was broken to give us our first buy position for yesterday's trading, for Monday's trading session, of course. And of course, the breakout of that area, which from a technical standpoint, whenever price breaks out of a structure, we expect that some point in time price may come back to retest the trend line, which did yesterday. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't feel comfortable selling the GBP USD unless something significant happened. We saw price come back, and as long as price remains above this trend line, I'm still of the opinion that buyers still have a say in this particular market. So as a result of this, I did mention it in my commentary this morning for those of you who are with me on both my TradingView and Telegram platform. And another thing we should also take note of is the risk on mood sentiment, which is sparked by speculations of interest rate cuts by the end of 2024. We had speeches from Bostic and of course Michelle Bowman But on Monday and Tuesday, on Monday, Bostic told us about the significant decline in inflation. He actually acknowledged that and suggested the possibilities of 2 quarter points cut by the end of 2024, and which is a sign that the Fed's, which projects the expectation that Feds will likely cut rate very soon. Then adding to the narrative was the governor, US Fed Governor Michelle Bowman, who she said yesterday that the current policy stance seems adequately restrictive and there might be a need to lower the Fed's policy rate if inflation approaches the 2% target for the Federal Reserve. So all of this narrative supports the idea of an interest rate cut. And when there is an interest rate cut, what happens? There is a tendency for the US dollar to drop, as majority will want to start selling so that they can take advantage of that interest, that profit yield, that margin between the GBP and the USD. Recently, the GBP is about 5.25. Is it 5.0, 5.2? And the US dollar is about 5.5. So that margin there, majority will want to start closing in their positions on the US dollar to capitalize on that. So this is one of the reasons why I still want to make sure that we maintain a bullish bias here and see significant confirmations before selling. Then another thing that we also going to be looking forward to today is the Bank of England's Governor Andrew Baylis, who is going to be having a speech in about 7 hours from now, and whatever he says today will be duly scrutinized by market participants to give an insight into the monetary policy outlook of the Bank of England, especially in a time when we have business owners clamoring for rate cuts, as the high interest rate has been very cruciating on the businesses in the United Kingdom, hereby affecting the labor sector and of course the manufacturing and service sector too as well. So everyone will look forward to what the Bank of England governor will be saying today, and whatever he says today will be giving us an insight onto what to do next. Now the question at this point is, will the pound sterling find support today, or will the US dollar just break through the support line in anticipation of the CPI data to push price to the downside? So as a result of this, from a technical standpoint, we will be focusing, our center of focus today is going to be between the key level, which is at the 1.272. Remember, we did identify this during the course of my weekend videos on the GBPUSD. If you had not watched this video, I encourage you to watch it so you can see how we were able to identify the key level and how it had played a major role in determining the direction of price action in the last couple of months. So our center of focus today is going to be between the 1.272 and the 1.27650 area, where depending on the direction of the breakout will give us an insight into where if we are going to be buying or selling this asset. So personally, I'm looking at above the 1.272 to capitalize on buying opportunities, where we will have enough breathing space for our stop losses just right below the 1.27 area, which will be dovetailing to between 20 to 25 pips depending on where your entry point is. And I will be looking out for selling opportunities below the 1.27650 with stop losses close to or around the 1.27 area, dovetailing to about 23 to 20 to 30 pips on that one too. So let's see how the market will play out from this area. And in fact, we do have multiple levels that we can use to maximize the potential of these moves. So I encourage us all to mark out these levels on our chart, as we will be needing them as a reference point to guide our independent trading decisions for today. And if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to my explanation, or you need me to do some further clarifications, feel free to let me know in the comment section. So as usual, I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds off to see if there are any questions before we move on to the next asset, and of course the final asset on our watch list for today. So I see your comment, feel for a bear Oyigi. Good morning. Thank you very much for checking in. So, in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page, and in that regard, we shall be moving on to the next and final asset on our watch list for today. So the final asset on our watch list for today is my favorite, and that is the XAUUSD, popularly known as the gold spot. And unfortunately for us, yesterday we had our stop loss hit yesterday, giving us our first loss for the week on this particular asset. Remember, we did buy the breakout of the key level, had a 2035 area yesterday, but unfortunately that momentum did not gain traction as we saw price drop to the downside, taking us out of that buy position in a loss. But it's okay, the week is still we're still in the midweek, and I'm very confident that we still have chances of capitalizing on the next move. And one of the things we talked about at the beginning of the week was the potential of a consolidation phase, or let me say a choppy situation, as market participants anticipate the CPI data, which is coming up tomorrow. And as a result of this, everyone is very cautious, and of course the risk on mood in the market too is also there. Now, the reduced likelihood of a more aggressive policy easing by the Federal Reserve in 2024 is bolstering the US Treasury bond yield at this particular point in time, consequently supporting the US dollar as well. We all know how the US Treasury bond yield is directly proportional to the US dollar. When the US Treasury bond yield rises, the US dollar of course rises as well, and when it drops, the US dollar drops too as well. And of course this reaction of course has an effect on safe haven assets such as the gold. And despite these challenges, gold may find support from the ongoing geopolitical risks tied to the Israel-Hamas conflict and persistent concerns about a sluggish economic recovery in China. Now, we all know China is the second largest economy in the world, and if that economy is not doing well it reflects across the globe. And whenever this kind of situation happens, majority want to move their capitals from currencies to safe haven assets. So as a result of these expectations, and of course the conflicts in the Middle East, and of course the risk on moon sentiment in the market, the bullish everything still look very bullish for the XAUUSD. But we cannot just jump into conclusion yet, as at this point I can feel the cautious approach by market participants who are holding back from making any fresh directional or aggressive bets, awaiting the release of the consumer inflation figures from the United States, which is scheduled for tomorrow, before making any decision. And whatever happens from the CPI data is likely going to be shaping the expectations regarding the Fed's future policy action, hereby giving us a short-term trajectory of price action. Now, if we look at things from a technical standpoint, what is it that we are going to be looking out for? What are the chances that we will need? What are the chances that buyers can still take over this market, and what chances do sellers also have? Now, looking at the 1 hour time frame here, our key level still remains very much intact around the 2035 area. And of course, you know how we use our key levels in this community. As long as price remains below the key level, we look out for selling opportunities. And if price breaks out of the key level, we look out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying that asset. Now, if we look at what has been happening since the beginning of the week, remember we had the opportunity of selling this asset at the beginning of the week after taking advantage of the breakdown of the support line of the range we identified at the beginning of the week, which was situated at the 2027 level. We had the privilege of capitalizing on this. We sold right into this area, giving us a 100 pips move. And of course, I did mention that we move our stop losses accordingly. And if you had done so, you must have taken a reasonable amount of profit or a worst case scenario break even, depending on where you moved your stop losses to. But ever since price action tested the $2017 area right here on Monday, you will see that price is yet to come even close to that area, hereby giving us a higher low to work with. And when we connect the series of higher lows, what do we have? We have a beautiful ascending trend line to guide our trading decisions going forward. Now you know how we use our ascending trend lines. As long as price remains above the ascending trend line, we continue to look out for patterns and structures that supports the idea of buying. And as it is right now, price remains above the ascending trend line, and buying above the 2035 level makes quite a lot of sense. And with a buy stop order above the 2035 level, we join a bullish momentum, looking out for more opportunities to maximize this move if price action goes on to break out of the $2046.50 level and the $2050 area, hereby maximizing the potential of this bullish move. Personally, if you will ask me, and considering all the fundamental factors behind the scenes, I'm of the opinion that price is likely going to the upside. But it's not all the time this kind of situation happens. You know, it depends on how majority of the key players in the market reacts to this event. So as a result of that, we will also take into consideration the potentials the sellers also have here. Now, for the fact that price remains below the key level, let's see what to look out for to sell. Now, if we look at the ascending trend line we just spotted here a couple of minutes ago, you will see that price action broke down that ascending trend line during the Asian session today, breaking down the structure, giving us a signal that sellers may likely push price to the downside. And in fact, since the beginning of this week, you can see how the key level had a 2035 area had continued to serve as a major barrier for buyers, as every attempt by buyers to break through this area has been met with stiff resistance from the sellers. Though we had some couple of breakouts here, which we of course took advantage of, but led to our first loss on the XAUUSD today. And right now, price action is back into that structure. Now, as a breakdown of the ascending trend line happens now, we expect that price may come back and do a retest of structure, though the retest has already exceeded in line. And if price can drop back down, then we could be considering selling. So having a sell stop order below the $2027 makes quite a lot of sense. And in fact, we are going to be having a wider stop loss on this particular trade, as we will be looking at stop losses somewhere around the key level, which will be dovetailing to between 75 to 85 pips thereabout on that one. And if price action continues to drop to the downside, a breakdown of the $2017 area, the lowest point for this week, will welcome more sell position. And as it is right now, my buy position at the key level, 2035 level, has already been triggered right now. I just hope that this position is going to stay alive for a very long time. So let's see how this will play out, and hopefully by the end of today we would see something positive on our portfolio. And of course, if you have the time, you can be part of the XAUUSD live window, which starts about 5 to 10 minutes into the New York session, where we come together to monitor the XAUUSD real-time price action in this community. So this is my simple view on the XAUUSD for today. If you've found this content and session helpful so far, kindly support this project by clicking the like button. Your likes are very valuable to me, and in fact it also helps the algorithm promote the video to a wider audience of traders who may find this content beneficial to them, and at the same time grow this community too as well. For those who had clicked on the like button, Thank you very much. And for those who are yet to, please do. This is the cheapest way you can help this project. Thank you very much as you do so. Then I also dropped the link to the XAUUSD live window right in the comment box. I pinned it at the top of the comment box, so you want to be clicking on that link. Click on the notify me button so you can get notified as soon as I come on live. Now, for those who don't know, the XAUUSD live window is a platform born out of popular demand from this community, where we all come together to monitor real-time price action on the XAUUSD during the New York session. It usually kickstarts 5 to 10 minutes into the New York session, so you want to be part of that and engage in the comment section, and let's make it an eventful one. So let's see if there are any questions before we round off for today's trading session. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are all on the same page, and in that regard, we shall be rounding off on today's Forex Morning Mastery. It has been a wonderful moment with you guys, and I really enjoyed every single moment I had with you. And for today, we were able to take on 3 major financial assets, which includes the XAUUSD, the GBPUSD, and of course the USOILSPOT, where we were able to identify simple trading setups using our basic tools such as trend lines, key levels, and of course chart patterns to unravel the potential trajectory of price action for today's trading session. And I do hope you marked out these levels accordingly, as we will be needing them as a reference point to guide our independent trading decisions. And in fact, if you have done so, please just exercise patience and allow the structures to mature, as these levels we identified on the chart are the key determinant factor that will make our trade setup mature. So please, let's exercise patience in that regard, and always remember that every decision we make in the financial market is more or less an educated guess until price action hits your TP target. Can you say truly you took the right trade? So in that regard, you want to ensure that you have a well-defined risk management strategy in place, which you want to consistently use to protect your portfolio against any sudden pullback or any sudden situation where price moves against our direction. So with that being said, I love to call it a day here. And for those of you who are joining us for the first time, I do hope you are able to gain 1 or 2 things from this session. And if you did, you do want to be part of the subsequent edition. Trust me, the more time you spend with us in this community, the better you get to understand how things works, and eventually be able to use the information gathered here to make your own independent trading decisions. I see your comment, Adini Babalola. You're asking for USD JPY. Well, I've been trading USD JPY behind the scenes with some of my clients, and unfortunately, I can't do more than 3 assets during the Forex Morning Mastery because of the time frame I have. But if you want us to drop one of the assets that we are taking to include USD JPY, please let me know in the comment section, and I will do so accordingly. Picky FX1800, good morning to you. Gold to the moon. Well, I hope so. I have a strong feeling that price is going up, but we cannot be confident yet unless the market says so. So we keep our options as open as possible. So on that note, I wish us all the best of luck today, and trust me, I will be with you in the comment section of both my TradingView and Telegram platforms to give you updates as at when due. And of course, during the XAUUSD live session, we shall be here again to monitor real-time price action on the XAUUSD. So I wish us all the best of luck today. Trade smart, trade consciously, and do have a wonderful day. Bye bye.